Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our soul astrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life. Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our soul astrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm Hollis Taylor. I am one of the astrologers here today. And I do all sorts of astrology, from synastry astrology to I also do death chart readings, which is a very unique type of reading just for people that are grieving after someone has passed. And of course, I do natal chart and your upcoming transits, which means what might happen this year or next month, or when I go into court on this such and such day, things like that. And
Hi there. I'm Bright Hawk. Always a pleasure to be here. And you can always learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. I'm an artist, an author, astrologer, storyteller, musician. And it's great to get a chance to share the weekly weather of astrology with y'all. And we send our love and blessings to our friend Lacrosse, who can't join us today, but we'll definitely do it.
Yeah, Lacrosse could use some extra high vibes. So please say a prayer for Lacrosse, and he could really use some support right now and just some strength and things like that. So we want to support our friends. So we'll just send some love and support out to Lacrosse. So I'm glad you're tuning in. This is a good time to tune in because, well, it's going to be an interesting time coming up, okay? And with the astrology forecast, this is very much what's going to be happening in the coming week. Hi, Roseanne. I see you finally caught alive, although it's not medium readings. Today is astrology. This is an astrology forecast. Okay. So, this week we'll be talking about what's going to be happening with Jupiter and Venus. So if you're starting to feel like things are loosening up around you a little bit, that's probably what's going on, especially today. And as we go forward, I'm hoping that slowly but surely things, if you've been under some pressure, some things will release. But there's probably also some other things that will probably come up, or at least some solutions, or we'll start working towards some solutions. And that's where we're headed towards. So I'm glad you tuned in this week, because there's actually quite a bit. This year is very intense, so many things are happening this year. Like I was listening to another astrologer last night, and it's just, every astrologer that I listen to is like 2025 is going to be such an intense year. It's just intense for everyone all around the world, and we're all going to be feeling it. Hi, Makwa. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, that would be great. With some prayers for peace for the whole world. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. We're going to start with the meditation, and then we'll get into the deck. And,
yeah,
I find it so powerful when we pray together. And our show is very queer focused, Rainbow Soul Astrology. We're all, I think, anxious as heck. It's scary. The dumpster is a dumpster fire for sure. And
For sure.
yeah, so let's take a minute and really get some peace and going
I
and
think
flowing and
I think just the chaos is creating anxiety for everyone.
absolutely.
So
So I said this last week. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it just to remind myself that when we're feeling anxious, the antidote to anxiety, what do you do when you feel super anxious? Well, if you do nothing but stew in the juices of your anxiety, it tends to make it bigger and worse. But it has been now scientifically proven that if we put ourselves in a different part of our brain, the creative side, take some time to cook, eat, go smell some beautiful flowers or incense, that if you put yourself in your sensory brain, if you do something like art, I notice when I'm painting more, which this last week I've been painting more, I'm less anxious, I'm less rageful, I'm less inclined to lose my stuff for no particular reason other than I'm feeling like I'm just gonna lose it, just don't give me a reason kind of moments. So when I'm painting, or if, whatever it is for you, maybe it's creative writing, maybe it's crafting, maybe it's cooking, maybe whatever helps you get into that creative, sensory, imaginary side of your brain, it will help cool off the demon known as anxiety.
and I think there's numerous ways. Like I do those things. Sometimes I cook. I find it to be grounding. I also I have spent some time studying Buddhism, and I do appreciate that most of the things that I would be anxious about right now, and maybe you too, there's not a whole lot we could do about it right now. Like, I mean, maybe you're organizing a protest, so that's great. But I'm not part of that, and I'm not even sure I should be the one down on the ground. I'll be happy to broadcast it for you. I'll be happy to talk about it. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a protest if this is what you need at every single state, 50, 50 states, 50 capitals. And it will be pretty much the entire day from 12 noon. Then there are other protests going on at like right after that. So it's like 12 and 4, and I think it's 6. And they're all protesting the chaos that we currently call our federal government. So I will announce it. I can do that. I can help in the backstage stuff, but I'm not sure that being there would be helpful. Makwa's like, if I could cross the border, I'd say, you're such a warrior, Makwa. You're such a warrior. It's okay. Stay there in Canada. And just remember that. And I think the most important thing to remember for all of us people that are sort of on the receiving end of this is that it's certainly not the American people attacking the Canadian people. It's the elected government that some people chose to trust that is now picking fights with others. So that's really what's going on. And so I think when it's something I can't do anything about, sometimes I'll cook and stuff. But I'll also come back to the Buddhism, to the Buddhist thing. And in Buddhism, if you can't do anything about it, it's just like creating your own suffering to worry about it. And I have listened to the Dalai. I don't know if you know about the Dalai Lama, but he was a young leader when China came in and tried to steal the country. Okay. And he at the time was the leader of their country, and he had to decide when it was a time to move his people, and he also had to tell some of the younger warriors that it was okay to fight back and things like that because they're Buddhist monks, right? And And I think the one thing that when you listen to his story and his interviews and things like that, when he talks about things like this, is that all you can do is be in each moment and accept what's unfolding in the moment and try not to get caught up in the emotions, the fear, the anger, and try to keep yourself calm all the time. So I'm constantly saying to myself, no doubt, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. And I will know what to do in what moment at any time. So I want to invite you to take just a moment to close your eyes. Yes. And take a few deep breaths. Put your feet on the ground. We can all feel what's coming. We can all feel it. But there's nothing anyone can do about it right now. None of us, anyway. Take another deep breath. No doubt, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. And another deep breath. In a little extra. A little bit more. And then release nice and slow until there's no more to let go. Until the breath is completely gone. Take this moment to stare up at the beautiful sky, full of stars as far as you can see. Just allow yourself to relax, to settle in as you stare at the stars. And remember how planet Earth is just one planet in the sky amongst a universe of stars, amongst many other universes. And the universe is kind and loving. The universe is guiding us. The universe is changing. And while sometimes change is hard, we can trust that there is no doubt that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Holding us all a safe space in this moment, in this here and now. Right now, we're safe, we're okay. And right now, we can breathe. Bringing our brains and our minds online. And as we settle in, we allow the universe to lead the way. We surrender. We allow. We trust. We trust that we're in the perfect moment, in the perfect space, exactly where we're meant to be, right here and right now. This is exactly what we're meant to be doing, right here and right now. And as you get present in your body, I'd like you to just rub your legs or your arms. Come back into your body. Coming back into the space where we are in the here and now. Present, awake, conscious, clear-headed, and alert. And open your eyes, stretch your fingers, and come back to the present soul astrology forecast right here and right now. Well done, Bright Hawk. Well done.
Thank you for a lovely little journey there.
Well, oftentimes I do whatever the astrology is, but I just decided today we could all just use some here and now, eh? We're all okay right now. Everything's okay right now.
Well,
and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
One of the things that's happening now, and doesn't matter where you live, if you're a being on planet Earth, if you look up at the sky any night this week, you will see numerous planets. Now, I don't know how many planets you'll see in your area, but I know that you can very easily see with the naked eye Venus, Mars, Jupiter. It'd be a little harder to pick out Saturn, but like I said, if you have a little app, there are tons of free apps sky that help you observe the sky, astronomically speaking. And you can just point up and it'll tell you exactly what you're looking at. Now, many, many years ago, I was just a college student. I took astronomy and astrophysics in college, and that was part of what we had to learn how to be able to do was step outside and name the constellations and talk about the planets and look at the sky and know what you were looking at.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty special thing. It's a special gift, I think, of being able to point at the constellations in the sky. I mean, I think it takes a little time to learn that.
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah,
the funny thing is I grew up as a kid in Southern California, and so of course there was tons of light pollution, which makes it really easy to look at the big ones. You can figure stuff out. It's pretty easy to spot Orion, Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper. Those are really easy to spot. And when you're the first time you're in a really, really, really starry sky where you're far, far away from light pollution, there are so many stars, it starts to be like, wait, is that what it takes a minute to reorient yourself when it's a really dark sky.
I don't know if it was like trauma or something as a child. We didn't look up at the sky. We just didn't do that.
Oh, see, I grew up with a father who worked in
so
aerospace, and so he had a telescope, and he loved to set the telescope up and put me on his lap or hold me up, or he'd come up with phone books, all sorts of different ways so I could get to the eyepiece.
And I don't think I actually started like looking at the sky or taking space for that until my son was like 7 or so. And then he was like, hey, Ma, look, there's whatever. And Betelgeuse, he could pick out constellations. And I was like, where did he learn that? But I made sure my son was exposed to a lot of different kinds of people. So I was kind of like, oh, cool. But then I started to teach, and then I taught myself, and so I could teach the boys at least some basic things. But you've taught me some more, like you've showed me how to find a planet versus a star and things like that, which I appreciate, which I guess it's just growing up, with enough, I grew up in the city. No one really had any time for me as a kid. So I don't think there was any, and my dad was blind, so I don't think.
Well, that could create a very different experience than you might.
Right.
So, Alyssa, where are you?
Hey, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Good evening. And hi, Kathleen.
Sounds like they have a very starry sky.
It's beautiful, Alyssa. So you have lots of stars out in the sky.
Yeah, that's when those little apps can be super helpful.
Yeah.
The first time in astrophysics, one of our field trip jobs to get points for our grade was to go out at night, and usually I think they put us together like a group of 4 or 5 people, and we had, in those days, it was called an astropod. It was designed, it was very manual. Nowadays you hook them up to a battery and boom, you're going. But if you do long exposures of the night sky, let me say that again. If you do an exposure of the night sky, it has to be a long exposure for it to turn out, right? It's very, very low light level. So you set the astropod up to be aligned with the North Star. And one of the first times we were out there, it was really dark, bazillion amounts of stars, and we're trying to figure out the North Star. And all of us had been very confident and competent up until that point. And then it was like, oh my God, is it that one or is it that one? Because Polaris, the North Star, is not actually that bright.
Yeah.
So it took us a minute, and there was no apps. This was way before cell phones. I was in college, man. And,
the apps really do help. They helped me, and I didn't know anything. So
I remember spending way too much time just trying to figure out if we had the North Star. Because, if you didn't have that, everything else was going to fall apart. There was no point in taking the exposure.
It looks like Alyssa's out in Kentucky, which can have some very rural areas. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Tracy. Welcome. Hi, Chelsea.
There.
Welcome, everybody.
Great. Well, let's dive into this week because there's definitely some big things happening. And it starts right off from the top.
Right. Today, which is Monday. So on Monday, you can, I'm just looking at this. Oh, yeah, sure. I can make it bigger. It looks to me, first of all, I'm just saying that Venus is like Venus is right on the edge there. She hasn't quite hasn't quite not she Venus hasn't quite moved into Aries yet on Monday, but
Oh, it'll happen tomorrow. The other thing I wanted to say about today is, really depending on where your moon sign is, the moon, of course, rules Cancer. So if you have strong Cancer placements like Sun, Moon, or Rising, you really should have a moon app on your phone because the moon moves every couple of days. So today is one of those days that I keep talking about where all day it's a void moon. It's a void moon until 3:30 in the morning Mountain Time. And what does that mean? It means that the moon is at its least intensity. Now, it's one of those weird things because the moon is waxing. So hopefully you did new moon intentions or thought about it for a half second about what this month is for you and what kind of goals or intentions you have. Survival, keep peace. Um, so when it's void, normally we wouldn't do a broadcast in the middle of a void moon, but now we've kind of committed to Mondays and wanting to be consistent and all the rest of it. But if you're having like, I can't get focused today, it's because it's a void moon. And it means there's no drama, but it means that there's not a lot of energy. So your mojo might be a little off if you're heavily ruled by the moon. And of course, the moon right now is conjunct Chiron in Aries. And so, Aries always has this impulsivity of, I got to do, but doesn't always think through like, how do I need to do, or why do I need to, is that really a priority? I do that sometimes, go off just kind of like, I gotta. And it's like, whoa.
well, you have Mars on your ascendant. So
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So, okay.
So moon conjunct Chiron. Chiron's, of course, all about healing. And it's also in a square to Mars. Of course, when the moon is in Aries, it's going to answer to Mars. It's going to have a conversation with the ruler of Aries, which is Mars.
So I feel like that the moon and Mars are in an interesting conversation that you might be like, I really have to do something about that. I really need to address this. Or maybe some solutions have even been presented and we're trying on different solutions for things. And and that's actually good because Mars retrograde is a long process of trying to solve a variety of problems probably in your life, a variety of them.
Right. And one of the things that makes this week so intense, you might want to go to the next day, is that Venus moves into Aries. So we know when Venus is in Pisces, Venus is exalted. She loves being in Pisces because, of course, Venus is a very emotional. What do you love? What do you really want? What are your desires? And Pisces works well with that. Watery, emotional. Now we're in a fire sign, Venus in a fire sign. So, and of course, Aries is the beginning. So it's actually on a world point. When it's at 0 Aries, that's a world point, which just kind of already has us all on edge already about what's up. When it's a world point, it's everybody sees it.
I feel like Venus in Aries. Okay, so Venus is in its detriment, is what we call it in Aries, because it's ruled by the opposite of Venus, which is Mars. And so, sorry, I have to get my dog to stop snoring. So Venus is in its detriment in Aries. And so, so Venus in Aries is like, so first of all, Aries rules heroes, okay? And sometimes they're the kind of heroes you like, and sometimes, as we've all learned in the last, since probably 2011 or 2001 or whatever it was when they did the World Trade Centers, some heroes don't exactly align with our belief systems, right? So, but this is Venus. So now Venus is not usually about conflict, but it is usually in about money. Okay. So if there's something going on with money, you might be very determined to figure out how to resolve it, how to get through it, how to make it better, or something like that. I know that some of us have struggled. I know even myself, I've been a little worried about things. And so you just have to, with some extra costs that I took in last year when my son had an unexpected coma, it kind of threw me in a financial. And so now I'm trying to get myself out of it, right? Also to get my health better. So I feel like Venus in Aries is probably going to be about money, and on the world stage it could absolutely have something to do with the stock market, definitely the trade wars that have been initiated by Donald Trump, and those kinds of things are kind of unfortunate, and and that's exactly what Venus in Aries is. So there might be, but because Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is retrograde right now, I would want, for your particular situation, I would want to look and see where is Mars in your chart, and where is it heading backwards. And it might just be that you have to find some sort of resolution. You might have to figure out what you have to do. Maybe you have to approach things better. I know that, or differently. That's what I've been doing. I've had to approach my business a little bit differently. And I think Bright Hawk and I have both been working on that, even with our Airbnb and things like that, just approaching things a little bit differently. And I think that's what this Venus Mars conversation is having right now, where Mars is going retrograde. And so it is speaking to the Aries, the Venus in Aries. And it's like, well, okay, so the money's not exactly there. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to resolve this? How will this get resolved? And that's pretty much what's happening now. And that will probably be going on for most of the time that Venus does her little dance, because she's going to go, I keep using she. Venus is going to go retrograde. And so when Venus goes retrograde, it's could create a problem, but it's, remember, retrogrades are meant for you to go inward and say, okay, how can I prevent this from happening again? How can I resolve this? And then it will eventually go forward again, and we will be resolved. So this week, if you're experiencing money issues, it could have something to do with relationships, particularly if, like Venus, if Aries rules your house of relationships, which is the 7th house or the 5th house or the 11th house. That could be maybe like somebody, it could be anyone that you're in relationship with, not just love relationships, but like friends and things like that. The 11th house is usually friends. The 7th house is anybody, including family members. If you have Aries at the bottom or something like that, ruling the 4th house, that could be family members. The 5th house is probably a romantic partner. Okay. And so pay attention. Where is Aries for you? And how is Venus going through it right now? And how are you experiencing it? Where is Aries? And I would also look at where is Cancer in your chart. Those two signs, just so you can tell where Mars is transiting right now, because that's part of the conversation as well. And I think this week we're probably going to be trying to headstrong, get determined about how to resolve any money issues, including, like, you'll probably see protests against the trade wars that are being created right now, and those kinds of things. We'll probably see, well, I know we're going to see it because there's one coming on Wednesday. So and it's huge, it's massive. So I'm just saying that, be aware that it's happening. And Aries is very much about fighting and determination, and like almost and it's represented by a horned sheep, right? Or a horned goat. The Aries symbol. It's a ram. It's a ram. And so it has big, huge horns on its head, and it will ram you. And that's pretty much how Aries is. Aries is like, I'm just gonna, okay. And I mean, I've met some young kids that have Aries placements, and the first thing they do is punch. You've seen kids like that, and their reaction is to just punch somebody, and that's very Aries, okay? And it's not that most people grow out of it because they're taught it's not nice to punch, but I'm just saying that's a reactionary experience, because Aries is also military and it's also physical. It's very physical. So if you are struggling with relationships or money and you need to get a clear head, I'm going to suggest that you exercise. Try to take a walk. Try to do some yoga. Try to move your body, because that Venus in Aries will help you work it out, okay? And that's a good way to interact with this energy, is to take a walk or exercise somehow, go to the gym. I mean, hell, put on a video and dance, okay? Like, it doesn't matter what you do, just move your body. Go for a run, take a walk in the woods, whatever you got to do to move your body, because that's what's going to bring the answer. That's going to bring clarity in your mind during this week, especially while Venus does this. Venus is going to go direct through Aries for quite some time, and then it's going to turn around and go backwards, okay? It will come back to this point at some point. So hopefully you've been paying attention to what's going on now, because you might be revisiting this in a couple of months. Okay, in like a month or two. All right. So that's the big thing, right? On Tuesday.
Well, the other really big headline is Jupiter is now stationed to go direct.
And that pretty much happens on the same day?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
And literally, you can see from the previous chart, it's 11 degrees, 16 seconds, 11 degrees, 16 seconds.
Wow. So
it's just going to hang out at 11 degrees. You're not going to see it much this week. Okay. Yeah. But it's direct. It's direct. So that leaves one planet left in retrograde, and that's Mars. Jupiter moving in Gemini again and moving forward, even if it's at a really slow pace, is going to make all of us feel like, and then when Mars finally goes direct, we still have a couple more weeks. Maybe not even.
Yeah, it's at the end of February.
The end of February. Okay, I wasn't sure it was the middle of the end. Anyway, it's just going to feel like all the breaks, all the sandbags, all the things that have, the wet blankets that have felt like, you just want to stop. You don't want to feel productive. Yeah. You just want to chill.
And I think Jupiter retrograde, now let's talk about this for a minute, because see, this is what we keep talking about, shadow period, because now Jupiter is going forward, but it's still in its shadow for a little while. It's reviewing what it went backwards over. Okay. So, it was going this way, then it turned around and went this way. And now it's turned around again. And while it's reviewing this area it went backwards over, it's literally reviewing the same topics. Jupiter was retrograde before the election. Okay, so we are dealing with what? The election. Okay, we're dealing with the results of the election. And that's exactly what's happening. The good news is that typically when Jupiter comes into Gemini and when it leaves Gemini, the bad guy, as long as it's forward, as long as it's going direct, typically the bad guys don't win very much. Okay. So typically people that are out of integrity get called out. People start, that things don't go their way so easily. When Jupiter is retrograde, that is usually when, quote unquote, the bad guys win. And that's from Ann Ortley. And she's one of the best predictive astrologers I've ever heard. And I'm just saying that now that Jupiter has gone retrograde and now it is going forward again, we should start to see maybe people standing up for what's right, for saying, maybe helping to stop these trade wars. You're probably definitely going to see the people stand up. And with Jupiter in Gemini this week, Gemini rules Donald Trump's 10th house. So it's going to move over top of things. So that doesn't, now Jupiter typically is a benefit planet. Okay. He could have some benefit, but he'll probably get called out on it. Okay. So that's in your regular life, in your day-to-day life. It's going to depend on where Gemini is. Gemini usually has something to do with communication, being able to communicate things more clearly, being able to say what you really mean, and for people to be able to hear it. Also, belief systems, networking will go really well. When Jupiter is direct, you'll be able to, in Gemini, you'll be able to network, which says a lot for the protest on Wednesday. But in your day-to-day life, like if you had to make some network connections or something like that, that would be Gemini. And you should look and see where Gemini is. What house does it rule? You can see the house by, if you look at that inner ring there, you can see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that inner yellow ring where the lines are. You can see that those are the houses, the pieces of the pie, essentially. Those are the numbers that we're talking about. It's 1 through 12. So wherever Jupiter is. Also at the end, I'll do a little forecast for Aries and Jupiter on this day, on Tuesday. And I'll do like a forecast for everyone's sun, moon, and rising. Okay. All right. So are we good with here? Okay. So we've talked about the two main things.
Those are the real big headlines for the week.
Right. So I feel like, wow, I still feel like that's the strongest thing. It's good news that Jupiter's in a trine to Mercury during this time in Aquarius. I feel like the words are going to get out. I mean, people are going to really come together and stand up, and good communication will be able to happen. So that's actually a good thing, at least for politics. And it will, for your personal life, you might be able to communicate better about things that maybe are different or changing.
And on this day, on Wednesday, the moon is going to conjunct Uranus in Taurus. When the moon is in Taurus, it's answering to Venus, which of course we've been talking a lot about, which is back in Aries. So it's not much of a conversation because it's like talking to somebody behind you, right? You can't really hear each other. You can't quite, you're too behind somebody to actually be effective in your communication. But it does mean that with the moon conjunct Uranus, that it's also going to be trining that south node, which could mean lovely things. Maybe somebody from your past, something from your past helps you out in some way, in a surprising way, because of course Uranus is all about surprises. South node is about our past. Moon is about emotions and relations. So an interesting chart this week. The big headlines happen early in the week. And it's a mixed bag for sure. But I think the Jupiter finally going direct is going to finally feel like, okay,
things can actually start going right again. And then as we move on to Thursday, I do recognize that there is, it's just looking like, so Wednesday, what I was thinking about real quick on Wednesday, I hope that everyone that goes to any protest is careful, but I will say that Venus in Aries, that's very powerful. And don't be surprised if most of those protests are women. And I also wouldn't, the interesting thing is, it makes me think of that woman the U.S. representative from Texas, and I wish I could remember her name right now. She's come out and spoke a lot about what's going on in the how that the House has been dismissed, and that they're not making any decisions in the government right now, and things like that. And so you're probably going to see women step up as heroes. You're going to see some strong women step up, and you're going to be like, oh, whoa, okay. And so don't be surprised if you're seeing that in the news and in our politics. It is very important. I don't like to focus too much on politics, but the fact of the matter is that here it is. Here it is. It's happening to all of us and a lot of us, and it's scary. And if I don't address it, then I feel like I didn't serve you well. So don't be surprised if powerful women step forward, like really super powerful women. And as we move on to Thursday, we still got Uranus in a trine, but the moon has moved on to Jupiter now.
Right, exactly. And so if you don't remember, when the Jupiter is in Gemini, it's opposite its rulership in Sag. So it's in its detriment. It's not strong. It's farthest away from its home sign. So now that Jupiter's finally moving again, just a 1 second difference between Thursday and Wednesday, the moon conjunct Jupiter could mean that some of your feelings might be feeling kind of big. And it's trining Pluto, which is, of course, Pluto's all about the underworld and transformation and hidden things and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes me a little worried about Donald Trump's reaction to the protests. So, just because he's actually very emotionally sensitive, that's why he reacts the way he does. So he's actually incredibly sensitive, and so when the moon goes over Jupiter like that, could just make a lot of things very big.
Right,
and his sun will be there as well. So he has like 4 planets in Gemini.
Yeah, he has a stellium in Gemini.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
hopefully he listens. Let's try to
maybe he'll listen.
Push ourselves forward.
Maybe he'll really hear it.
Possible scenario if he goes, "Oops, we went too far. I guess we figured out where the people's outrage lives," and hopefully he backpedals instead of
hopefully. So and then down. So and I think
well, it's happened once already. The funding freeze thing, they got them to backpedal because people spoke up and they realized they had done a really shitty job communicating and rolling it out, and so they were like,
and clearly he was trying to hide the thing of separating children from their parents. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope that he doesn't push too far. And with Mars, with Mars retrograde, though, it might dampen some of any conflict. So you should know that it will probably dampen conflict a little bit. Okay. And going forward, this is Friday, and it looks like Mars is in a square to Chiron, so there could be some healing trying to get done. We could be trying to find solutions to where we all obviously disagree. Okay, and that's good. That's good. And with Mars in conjunct Mercury in Aquarius, hopefully communication will get better. But communications could be stumbled on Friday for you personally in your home, or even for politics. Communication or the ability to talk about where we're all coming from could be difficult.
Well, you have the moon trining Sun and Mercury. So, of course, when the moon is in Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So it's in a trine, which is a very favorable aspect in astrology. Means that things are blessed and should go really easily and really well. but it's also in a square to Saturn. Saturn's dad, authority, the system, the man,
leader,
the authority. So a square is tension. Square is you got to make a decision. You got to get off the fence. You got to go with this way or that way. So that
Yep.
There's a little bit of Careful Friday. Make sure you do your own personal practice, whatever that is for you, because now instead of the sun being trine to Jupiter, which it has been for like 10 days, it's now in a square to Uranus, which means surprise a minute.
Right. So, especially as things are in a square to Uranus, Uranus can be very surprising and suddenly. Now on Saturday, February 8th, we still have that square to Uranus, but now there's a few more squares, which really could have a lot to do with leadership. Because again, the moon is looks like who's in okay. So Saturn is I was looking at but it's not. It's actually the North Node in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces. And that has a lot to do with illusions. And they're in a square to the moon in Cancer. And Cancer tends to rule patriotism. Of
right.
any country. So
wherever, the moon has come back
come
to
from.
home when it comes to Cancer. It's home. You know what it's like when you get home, kick off your shoes, feel at home, take care of yourself, eat your favorite things, watch whatever you want, do whatever you want. You're home. But you're in the square, which the square means it's an uncomfortable conversation with Venus, Neptune, the North Node, and the South Node.
It looks like it's in a square with illusions, which definitely is a problem right now because the North Node and Neptune are conjunct in Pisces, and Neptune rules Pisces. So it's been there for a couple of weeks now.
Months.
And so
Neptune
but they've been conjunct.
North Node.
They've been conjunct. So the North Node and Neptune have been on top of each other in Pisces, which means there are some illusions. We're definitely under an illusion. If you think you know everything that's going on in the government and in our world and with other people or with your relationships or wherever Pisces is in your life. So if it's in the 10th house, it might be your career. If it's in the 4th house, it might be in your home. You are under an illusion. So just be aware of that. There is some illusions going on right now. And so you should I had to tell myself that just the other day. I looked at my astrology. I look at my astrology every day. And I was like, that North Node and Neptune are together. And at the time, Venus was also there. And I was like, okay, so I'm under some illusions. I don't know what the illusion is, but I know it's there. And it will break, but not right now. Okay, so it's still there, and I feel like that's in a square to the moon. So some illusions could be upsetting you, but just be aware that it's an illusion. So things could be changing, and you're not aware of it.
And Saturday morning, there's a void of course moon from 7:51 to 11:04 Mountain Time, which a void moon when the moon is at its peak in Cancer at its most powerful, right?
So take a break Saturday morning.
Chill time. Take a break.
Yeah.
Just go for a walk. Do nothing.
Do some yoga.
Yeah, right?
Do some yoga.
Self-care.
Meditation. Something.
Void equals self-care. You know, if you can do that today.
Do some meditation or something. And Sunday, it will clear up a little bit. I feel like with the moon coming a little bit closer to Mars. Mars is retrograde, so there might be a little bit of inner reflection about how to change the way we're interacting with the world. It is in a trine to Saturn, so that could be helpful in regards to how to deal with the system in a better way. So that could hopefully be helpful if some people are open to hearing it. But for most of us, this will have to do with whatever we've been dealing with for a while now, whatever that is. So Mars has been retrograde, and with the moon on top of there, you just could have some emotional healing happening. It's in a square to Chiron, and you've figured out some sort of solution, whatever you've been dealing with recently, particularly anything related to your home or your dwelling or how you live or anything like that. That would be Mars in Cancer retrograde. And so there might be, it might feel hard, but there is a solution coming because the system is in a trine. Saturn is in a trine to Mars.
Yeah, and you've got Mercury and the Sun exact in their conjunction in Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about it's about humanity, it's about ecology, it's about what's really for the greatest good of all. It's about doing it differently. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is let's be different, let's be original, let's change like crazy. So of course, when Mercury and Gemini are together like that, Mercury and the Sun are together in Aquarius.
All right.
There could be some great conversations. Maybe you have a great conversation on Sunday with somebody that really gets you thinking in a way that was like, wow, that was cool.
All right. So Tracy, so there's a couple of questions here. Tracy asked, I know my element, but I'm not sure what my moon sign is. Tracy, you just look for the moon on your chart. The chart that looks like this, just look for the one that looks like the moon. And that's the zodiac it's in. And I think you got the guide that I offer. So if you're looking for a guide, I have a guide on how to find your sun, moon, and rising, which some people have found to be very helpful. And you can find that at my website. I'll give you the link here in just a moment. And so it's actually really helpful because it will show you exactly how to find those things. So the moon sign is exactly whatever zodiac your moon is in. Okay. So that's how you find the moon sign. It's not complicated. You just look for the moon and you look and see what it's in, and that's how you can find it. Okay. And here's the beginners. This is a basic beginner's astrology manual, and I'm going to put the link here in the comments so you can get to it. And you can easily, if you use this coupon code, you can get 50% off. So it won't cost you much of anything. It costs you about $5. So there you go. Use live 50 and it's $5, and it will show you how to find your sun, moon, and rising and give you some basics about what that means. Okay. And I think you got it. So it's at divineandrogen.com. You can go to my website, go to the shop. If you can't see the comments, you're in a replay or something and you can't find my comment, just go to divineandrogen.com and then go to the shop, the digital shop on the right-hand side, and then you'll find the astrology manual and you get 50% off. It's a great little thing to help you. Yep.
Great way to begin. And if you're ready for a little bit more, we also have an Astrology 101 class.
And that's also on that shop page.
5 parts. And you can also include 2 sessions with Hollis to help you with any questions you might have, which is a really great value. My gosh.
You can use that live 50 to get 50% off. If you didn't use it for the manual, you can use it for that class.
Wow, what a deal.
That's a really great deal. It's really good.
We just want to help you. We're here to help.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it helps you understand you, because that's astrology's greatest thing is that, frankly, I don't know how anybody walks around without knowing what is your map? What is your star map? What is it?
Right.
It tells you so much about what you need to lean into, what you need to learn, where your mastery is. There's just so many things that astrology can help you reveal to you yourself, frankly, which is the greatest gift, right? And you can really realize what great gifts you bring to the world by understanding your astrology, for sure.
Yeah.
So now the great gift Hollis has of doing live reading for every sign, all 12 signs in the zodiac. Which element are you going to focus on?
I'm actually going to focus on tomorrow, which is Venus in Aries and Jupiter direct.
Yeah.
First, I want to address Alyssa's. How do we get How do we go by where Mars is in our natal chart or transits? So here's the interesting thing about that, Alyssa. The answer is kind of both. So you first want to look and see where Cancer is, because that's where Mars is right now. That's why I'm telling you that. So Mars is retrograde. It's going backwards in Cancer. So that area of life might be kind of screwy. And then wherever your Mars is in your chart will often have something to do with the flavor of it. So for instance, my Cancer is in the ninth house. It rules my MC at the very, very top of the chart, which is like your work in the world and what you offer. And Mars is going backwards. And I'm kind of like, I think I have to approach this work thing a little differently. And I think some things have to change. And then Cancer also refers to family and home. So now I'm also homeschooling my grandson every morning for a few hours because they need help with that. And so like that's what's changing right now. And I've had to like kind of revisit that. Interestingly, Mars is also my natal Mars is in the 8th house. And 8th house is like death. And so I've definitely also been dealing with, I just got the device to make sure that I don't suddenly fall out from my heart, right? Okay. And so all that is happening at once. Okay. So it will both are happening. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. It's actually both. So you'll experience both. So while my heart and the implants aren't necessarily related to my grandson needing schooling or my work in the world, they are kind of related because I have to be in good health to do that, right? So there you go.
It's fascinating when we look at the planets, and this is why going into the astrology class instead of just the little manual is really helpful,
right?
Because we go into the meaning of each planet. And it tells you everything. Venus tells all of us about how we do relationships and what we want and what we love based on what sign it's in and what house it's in. It's going to tell us the rest of that story. Mars is going to tell us how we fight. When we get pissed off, Mars does the talking. What sign is your Mars in? What house is that in? That tells us the flavor of those things.
Right.
Those are what we call personal planets. And then when we look at big things like Jupiter, the impact is so big, it's all of us, right? It's a big collective picture. Like, what's this mean for the world, not just personally? So that's just a snippet. We always try to include a few pointers.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions before we get into the...
I look forward to women standing strong too, Alyssa. Absolutely. Now let's just look at this. Chelsea said, I'm quitting my toxic job this week, starting a new job at the end of the month when Mars goes direct. Congratulations, Chelsea. You're on track. You're perfectly on track for this Mars retrograde. Finally taking a stand and putting my morals and my health first. You go, Chelsea. Good job. Mars does sometimes rule like weird health things and health things. And now Barbara's saying, oh, wow, I'll be getting that one for sure. You're welcome, Barbara. And take a deep breath before I start. Thanks, Bianca, for the reminder. So Alyssa said, so my 12th house starts in Cancer and Mars is in my 5th. So combine the meetings. Yes, combine the meetings, but it'll probably mostly be at the 12th house, which has to do with psychic things, psychic abilities, things you don't know or see about yourself, or hidden things, hidden enemies. It may also have to do with
the occult.
The occult, but institutions, right, like nursing homes, hospitals, and things like that. So if it's in the 12th house, are you a Cancer rising? So then that's going to do with everything in your life and how you're moving forward. So it's okay, Shauna. You can always just rewind later when we're done. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do the forecast for the week for Tuesday as I start to wrong one. So as I start to share this for everyone, remember, this is for your sun, moon, and rising, and you would combine all three. Now, of course, the sun is who you are and who you appear to be from people initially. And then your rising is who you really are and how you're going forward. And your moon is your emotions and your relationships in particular. I see, Alyssa, you're a Leo rising. Okay. So something is going to get resolved because the Mars is going to come back over when it goes direct. So this spring, you're going to have some resolution to whatever big has been going on in your life. Mars in the 8th house means a lot of different things, Barbara. It really depends on what, but
what sign? If you let us know what sign, that tells us a lot.
Yeah, the numbers are those little 1 through 12 from the beginning to the end, right? Okay. So they start to the left.
Signs yet.
Yeah, she probably doesn't know the zodiac signs yet, but that's okay. Mars in the 8th house, it sometimes can be kind of quick and fast. Okay. Now, for Aries, sun, moon, and rising, Venus is moving into it's very much for you for sun, moon, and rising. It's going to very much be in about who you are, Aries. This is very much about who you are and what you're dealing with and how you're feeling in this way. It's particularly how you identify and how you see yourself. So that's probably why we'll see some females stepping up. And so that strong energy, that Aries, that hero energy, and sometimes that hero can also be the military and things like that. So anything that has to do with standing up, also maybe going independent. Aries, you may decide to go independent on some things, particularly anything that has to do with money or relationships. Okay. So you might just decide you're going to go forward. Now, with that Venus going direct at the same time, this is probably going to have something to do with your community and where you live and who you're with and communication. So right away, that's telling me, wow, okay, so this is the women standing up. I can almost bet that some of the women standing up are either Aries or Aries rising. They're just going to stand up and be ready to fight. And that's actually kind of really good because we need you now. We need Aries to stand forward and see. No doubt the universe is always unfolding as it should. So that's for the Aries sun, moon, and rising. If you feel yourself called forward to fight or do something for your community, do it. Do it now. Okay. And now on for Taurus. This is for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. As Venus is in your 12th house, that means you're probably not going to see this coming. You probably won't really understand what's going on, really. And for the most part, you'll just be like, okay, well, I don't know. And so, especially, this might be about money or something like that, but you might notice that you come up with a better strategy for money because Jupiter's going forward in your house of money. And so that's very much about, oh, I think I know how I could solve this. I know what I could do to make this better. I know how to make this better. And as Jupiter goes direct, that's really what's going to happen for you, Taurus, is that you're going to know how to resolve the issue that you've been dealing with, anything related to money, or like buying things or anything like that, particularly if there's something about a house. So Taurus, that's Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. There's going to be some solution. You're going to start seeing a way to it, and you're going to be able to communicate that in a good way. So that communication is going to come forward for you, and you'll be able to see how this is going to lead you forward. Now that's for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. And now for Gemini. This is for Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. This is going to have something to do with your friends. It's going to have something to do with the people around you and the people that might have control over you. You're going to feel that and that's going to affect your identity. Maybe your identity is going to change. Maybe you don't need those friends anymore, or there's maybe somebody owes you money and doesn't pay for it. You finally say something about it, and then it doesn't come. You know what I mean? Something like that. Or it could be, you not feeling completely seen at work, or something like that in relationship, or with money. And then your identity is going to change because of it. Your identity is actually going to be changing, Gemini, particularly as Jupiter finishes its transit in your sign. Notice that you're going to change how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself. Your entire definition is about to change of who you are, and everything's going to change. It's particularly for Gemini sun, moon, and rising. Okay. So if it's your moon, it's probably going to be more about emotional stuff. If it's your rising or sun, it could have a lot to do with your health, or how you vision things. Okay. So as Venus enters into Aries, just be aware that there could be some people around you that maybe you have to let go. Maybe they're not meant to be in your life anymore, or whatever that is, Gemini, sorry. Whatever that is, Gemini, just let them go, because now is the time to let them go. And now for Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. Cancer, man, Mars is going retrograde in your sign, and it's been quite some time now. And I know you've been struggling maybe with career, because now career, and maybe you're just not really sure how things are going to work out, or how this is going to work. So I want to say that, and you're not even sure who you are or what you should do. Like, it just feels like your whole life's been flipped upside down. So as Jupiter goes direct, I really feel like this is really going to bring some blessings for you. From, you're not even going to know where it came from. And then you're just all of a sudden going to be like, wow, okay. And you're going to get that deep determination. Particularly, you're going to feel determination around your work in the world. Particularly anything that has to do with like what kind of work you do in the world, or how to resolve things at work, or whatever's been going on for you, or what you offer the world. Maybe you haven't had a job, and now you're gonna open your own business or something. So something like that, you're going to double down and get determined about that. And that could be really helpful as Venus moves into the 11th house. It's probably going to mean it's all about who you know. Okay. So just be aware of that. Also be aware that eventually Venus will go retrograde. So don't think that you have it all figured out right away. Take your time with it. If you are starting a new business or something, Cancer, be aware that Cancer rising, Cancer moon, Cancer sun. If you have a strong Cancer placement, be aware that there could be something with the work that you're doing in the world or the work that you're starting might need to shift as Venus goes retrograde. Okay. Especially if you're starting it right now, Tuesday. Okay. So, all right. So that's Cancer. And that's Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. And now for Leo, sun, moon, and rising. For Leo, sun, moon, and rising, I want you to be aware that your spirituality, you're going to feel like a spiritual call to standing up, to being who you are, to stepping into a role that you believe yourself to be in, particularly, and also particularly anything that has to do with education or learning. You're just going to get downright determined about it. You're going to figure out how to get this done, Leo. And with Jupiter going forward, it might very much be about the people you know. This is for Leo, sun, moon, and rising. And with Jupiter direct, it's going to make sure that the people you know come through for you. They will be able to help you. There are people that will be able to help you. So look to them. And even people that have power over you, they still might be able to help. And that's Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Just be aware that definitely anything that has to do with education, going back to school, higher learning, legal matters, those things, you might have to double down. You might have to buckle down. Be ready. The good news is Jupiter is direct, so it usually means that the good guys start winning once that happens, and it just happens on Tuesday. Okay, so hang in there, especially if you are dealing with legal matters. Okay, legal matters. Now for Virgo, This is for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. Now, again, your career is going to suddenly go good. Gosh, that's good to hear. So I'm a Virgo. So Virgo, things are going to start getting better. Things are going to start feeling a little bit more normal. There might be some blessings or some good things that come your way that you might need to take advantage of, and just be aware of them, particularly anything that's online or has anything to do with communication. You want to make sure you watch your communication and make sure that happens, because that's probably going to be a good opportunity. And then also with Venus in the 8th house, this is your determination. There might be some part of you that in relationship or something like that that needs to get resolved, or something, there's a shadow part of you that's not being expressed. Maybe this has to do with something that's rather taboo, like sex or death or taxes. And dealing with taxes could be a big pain in the butt. But yeah, so maybe that's what you have to deal with. And Venus in Aries could be a little like, oh, do I have to? Okay. And the answer is yes. So Venus coming into Aries like that, just be aware that you could be dealing with those kinds of taboo subjects, sex, death, or taxes, or anything else that you don't really like to talk about or think about. Okay? But the good news is that work will start getting better. So that's great. Anything will be resolved at work, particularly in relation to communication. Now, that was for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. And now for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This has a whole lot to do, Libra, for you with your day-to-day life. Like, you're going to suddenly feel some determination. You're going to feel like your day-to-day life, you've got to get this done. You're going to do this. This is going to happen. And it might be hard, and you might have some disagreements maybe with relations, but I think that mostly you're going to be pretty determined. You're going to find some determination in your day-to-day life of trying to make it go well. And then, of course, with Jupiter going direct in your 9th house, this is higher learning. This is you could learn something new. You could also have some blessings, or even come to some spiritual awakenings or spiritual awarenesses. Those kinds of things could be really blessed for you, Libra, in this time, especially anything, if you're a Libra sun or a Libra rising, this will have a lot to do with higher learning probably. And if you're a moon, it might have more to do with your intuition. Okay, where your intuition comes online, and that would be a real blessing for you. So that's Libra, sun, moon, and rising. And as we move on to Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Now, Scorpio, I want you to be aware your romantic relationships, there could be some determination or something that needs to come up for you in that regard. Something, maybe there's some empowerment that will happen, or even financial thing, financially creative ideas that could also come through that would be really helpful for you. And there could even be relationships from the past that could come forward, or maybe there's something from the past that needs to be dealt with. Either way, with Venus in your 5th house of romantic relationships, don't be surprised if there's a little bit of struggle there in some way. And with Jupiter direct in your 8th house, that's telling me that whatever the taboo subjects that Scorpio loves anyway, it will start to get better for you. It will get better. Okay, it is going to be better for you. And now, as we go forward, the taboo subjects like sex, death, taxes, and anything else that you might consider taboo, those things are going to start to feel better, which is great for me. The Scorpio rising going, thank God. With Jupiter going direct, that would be great. And with Venus in Aries, don't be surprised if there's some personal empowerment, or even empowering of your loved one, or creative empowerment that has a lot to do with money. Okay. And now, as we move into Sagittarius, this is for tomorrow, Sagittarius, Tuesday, Sagittarius, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. This will probably be like Tuesday, Wednesday for Sagittarius. You're going to really feel on Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to really feel it in the fourth house, which is very much your home. This is very much this is where you're going to feel some determination about home. You're going to feel like you got to get some things done. You're going to feel some creative, maybe some financial creativity on how to make things work. Maybe you've been struggling with something financially, and with Jupiter going direct in your house of relationships, this would be great because communication will go well, and this would be great especially in relation to your fourth house, or your family. It could also have something to do with your family of origin or your home, so one of those two. And it could have something to do with your parents' family of origin, right? Okay, but either one of those two, and you'll probably feel some strong determination about your home, and you might be able to make some decisions, and there might even be a little bit of struggle financially, but you'll get some determination about finding some resolution for this. Thank goodness Jupiter is going direct in your house of relationships, because I feel like home and relationships are kind of usually related. So the relationship will probably go well, and hopefully your spouse will work with you. Okay, so that's Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, this is going to be all about your community and communication. You're going to feel determined in your communication, in relationships, and anything about money. You're going to feel like you need to say it out loud. And I think that it's going to go well, and that whatever shifts need to happen in your day-to-day life, whatever that change was that needed to happen, Jupiter's coming along to bring some good luck for you, okay? Some things are going to start going well, Capricorn. You're going to start feeling better about your day-to-day life. Things are going to feel better in your heart and in your soul. And I think that you're going to feel better about the way it works, about the way your day-to-day life is, particularly in relation to communication. Okay, Capricorn, so things are going to get better for you, and just be aware of that determination around communication. Maybe slow down a little bit if you communicate, like if you're coming off too strong, just slow down a little bit, because of that Venus in Aries there in your third house, which is the house of communication. It's also the house of community. So that's the people around you. You might be coming off really strong. So just be aware of that, Capricorn. And now that's for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And now this is for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I would like you to be aware, Aquarius, that the thing is that Venus is in your second house, and there could be some determination, some things that you got to buckle down and do in relation to finances, to money, especially in relation to your home, because you have to solve one to solve the other type of thing. And then, as Jupiter goes direct in your home, I feel like things are going to get better for you, but you still might have some things to resolve on Tuesday, Wednesday, but at least you'll see a solution. You'll see a way out. You'll have some determination that you're going to figure this out or get this done to the best of your ability, Aquarius. So just hang in there. You've got this. You're going to get it done. And now as we go forward to Pisces, this is all about your identity. Not that you needed me to tell you that, because Pisces, Saturn's been in your sign for quite some time now. Your identity has been rearranged and changed, but now suddenly you're going to find your woman power. You're going to find your empowerment. You're going to find your hero. You're going to find that part of you that needs to come forward. Maybe it's about money, maybe it's about your identity, maybe it's about how you're feeling. Either way, it's going to come forward. And as that's coming forward, that's going to change the people that are around you into a good way. So just hang in there, Pisces. Your identity is changing, yes, and so are the people around you. So be aware that that's changing for you right now. And it's it's just for this week, and Venus is going to go retrograde, so we're going to make sure that's exactly what changes you wanted to have anyway. Okay, so
There you go.
oh my god. So Alessa said, haha, I'm in the same boat, friend, and I'm learning as much as I can through, or trying to anyway. So it's okay if you know next to nothing. I do everything I can to try to teach you guys. I have a commitment today that I have to leave for, so I don't have as much time today as I usually do. But Alyssa said, I just straight called me all the way out with Gemini. I'm a Gemini moon. Well, it's okay. It's okay, Alyssa. Hang in there.
Just shows you how good of an astrologer Hollis is.
And then the Leo.
I know. I think the same thing while I'm sitting next to them. So
hey, I read it and I go, oh, so that's how it's going to affect me. Oh, that's how it's going to hurt. Okay. All right. That's where it will be. That's the part of my life it will be touching. Okay. So don't worry. You're hearing it for the first time when I do this. I'm hearing it for the first time. Okay. So
I think you have amazing skills and talents to be able to just do that. You do it amazing.
Thanks. It's only from years of studying with you and then the practice of doing the readings.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always saying, Bright Hawk, if you just did readings, you'd be just fine. Okay. And all right. So I'm going to pull 3 cards right now.
Oh.
And I'm not surprised to see any of these cards right now. I'm just going to say. So the first card here is a Devil card. And this is about our past. This is where we came from. These are the ways that maybe we gave into temptation or things we knew we shouldn't have engaged in or anything like that. That's the Devil card. It's about temptation. It's about doing things that you're not necessarily supposed to do or shouldn't do. And that's the Devil card. Okay. And it can be about power, control, money. It can, of course, be about sex, drugs, alcohol, any kind of indulgent behavior, okay? And now this is for the here and now. This is about fighting for your rights. This is about getting rid of the shadows and bringing light to the shadows. As you can see, that's a transgender person standing there, and they are holding a sword of light to the shadows. And, of course, the shadows are of you name it, from the government all the way down into your personal life, into your personal identity. We all have shadow. And so if you find yourself trying to bring light to your shadow, it's okay. It's exactly what needs to be happening. And, I even today was asking myself, why do I keep doing that? And so just be good to yourself. Bring light to the shadow. Don't keep it in the shadows, because that's how a shadow stays a shadow. And if you bring it out into the light, it heals. Okay, always. And now this is going forward. This is the Knight of Wands. This is about having our stuff together and being ready with our intentions to overcome. Your intentions to overcome. This is very much Venus and Aries. This is about getting your weapons, getting your needed things, and bringing it forward to make something good happen. That's the Knight of Wands. It's very much about intention and which way you mean to go. So this is the Love is Love deck. It's an LGBTQ deck. Remember the past, about whatever had to happen, whatever you did. Forgive yourself now. Just let it go. Yes, it's one of your demons, but you can bring light to it and make it better. And as you go forward, just be determined to figure out how to make sure that doesn't happen again. It's just that simple, my friends.
Wow. Incredible.
I
guess we shouldn't be surprised about that spread.
No, especially like the transgender person fighting for their rights. And then it just makes me think that as she's fighting for her rights, it just makes me think of all of the, like, how to, even the election, those cards apply.
Yeah, for sure.
Where people were worried about how much their eggs were.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for interacting. Really appreciate you too, Alyssa and Barbara. Thanks so much for your comments.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Bianca and Alyssa and Barbara. Thank you for being
You guys
here.
are great. Really, it makes it so much more interesting and definitely fun to share. So we hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soul Astrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week, everybody. We send you tons of love. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soul Astrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoyed this dose of Soul Astrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.